The subway train rattled along the tracks beneath New York City. It was evening rush hour, and the car was filled with tired commuters heading home. Most people stared at their phones or dozed against windows, paying little attention to others around them. Taeho Kim stood near the doors, holding the handrail with one hand and clutching her research bag with the other. The small blue bag contained weeks of work biological samples she had carefully collected for her graduate studies at Columbia University. She checked her watch and sighed. After working late in the lab, she was finally heading home for some much-needed rest. 3 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Commonwealth. Humans had grown used to seeing aliens on the streets, in shops, and even on public transportation. Most were diplomats or businesspeople, easily identified by their formal attire and professional manner. When the doors opened at 42nd Street, several people got off, and a tall figure stepped onto the train. He was clearly not human, standing nearly 7 feet tall with scaled skin that shifted between gray and green depending on how the light hit it. Unlike the usual alien visitors, he wore no diplomatic insignia or business attire, just plain clothing that seemed hastily assembled. Taeho noticed something odd about the alien's movements. While Commonwealth visitors typically moved with calm confidence, this one's eyes darted around nervously. His breathing seemed rapid, even for his species. The alien, Daro, scanned the subway car carefully. He was running out of time and options. The Commonwealth security forces were closing in, and he needed to get off-planet quickly. But first, he needed something valuable to trade for passage. His eyes locked onto Taeho's research bag with its university logo. In Daro's experience, university bags often contained valuable research that rebel groups would pay handsomely for. Earth was still new to the galactic community, and its biological discoveries were highly prized. The train lurched around a curve, causing passengers to sway. Daro used this moment to move closer to Taeho. In one quick motion, he grabbed her arm and pulled her against him. "Do not shout," he whispered, his voice like dry leaves rustling. "Give me the bag, and you will not be harmed." Taeho's heart pounded. She looked around desperately, but most passengers were still focused on their phones, unaware of what was happening. "Please," she said quietly. "These are just student research samples. They're worthless to anyone but me." Daro tightened his grip. "All Earth research has value. Now be quiet." A few passengers finally noticed the situation. An older woman gasped and pulled her shopping bags closer. A teenage boy quickly tapped on his phone, likely calling for help. Others simply moved to the far end of the car, avoiding eye contact. But one passenger did something different. A large man sitting a few seats away stood up slowly. He wore a simple black t-shirt that stretched across his broad chest and shoulders, with jeans and comfortable boots. Anyone from Earth would immediately recognize Dwayne Johnson, but Daro had no idea who he was facing. Dwayne had just left a meeting with Commonwealth representatives. As one of Earth's cultural ambassadors, he had spent months learning about different alien species, their customs, and their biology. He recognized Daro's species at once and noted several important details: the nervous eye movements, the slightly irregular breathing pattern, and the defensive posture. "This doesn't need to get complicated," Dwayne said, his voice calm but firm. He took a careful step forward. Daro jerked his head toward the sound. "Stay back, human. This is not your concern." "When someone grabs another person on my planet, it becomes everyone's concern," Dwayne replied, taking another measured step. Taeho's eyes widened in recognition. Despite her fear, she felt a surge of hope seeing who was approaching. She remained still, sensing that sudden movements might make things worse. Daro looked confused by the human's confidence. Most people cowered when threatened, but this one moved forward with purpose. "I will harm her if you come closer," Daro threatened, his scaled skin darkening with stress. "I don't think you will," Dwayne said. "Because you're smart enough to know that would make your situation much worse." The train began to slow as it approached the next station. Daro's eyes darted toward the doors, calculating his escape. But Dwayne had positioned himself perfectly, blocking the most direct path. Other passengers watched with growing interest, some now recording with their phones. No one screamed or panicked, instead, they seemed to be taking cues from Dwayne's calm demeanor. The subway car fell into an uneasy silence as the three figures stood frozen in their positions, Darrow gripping Tejo, Tejo clutching her research bag, and Dwayne watching them both carefully, ready to act when the moment was right. The subway car rattled as it slowed down approaching the station. Darrow's grip on Tejo remained tight, his scaled fingers digging into her arm. The few passengers still in their seats watched with worried expressions. Some recorded the scene on their phones while others looked for ways to help. Dwayne took another careful step forward. His movements were slow and deliberate, like someone approaching a frightened animal. During his months as Earth's cultural ambassador to the Commonwealth, he had learned much about different alien species. The knowledge was proving useful now. "Let's talk this through," Dwayne said, keeping his voice steady. "Whatever you're looking for, there are better ways to get it." Darrow's breathing quickened. "Stay back. Humans always think talking solves everything." Dwayne noticed the alien's inner eyelid flicker rapidly, a sign of stress in his species. He also noted how Darrow's scales had darkened along his neck, another telling signal. The alien was afraid, not just aggressive. "I notice you're from the Draconis sector," Dwayne said. "Outer Rim colony, based on your accent." Darrow's eyes widened slightly. "How would you know that?" "Part of my job," Dwayne replied with a small shrug. "I've spent time with many of your people. Good people, most of them." Tejo remained still in Darrow's grip but watched Dwayne carefully. She realized he was trying to establish a connection with her captor. "Your people value honor," Dwayne continued. "Is grabbing a student on a subway honorable where you come from?" Darrow hissed softly. "Honor means nothing when survival is at stake." The train stopped completely. The doors didn't open right away, suggesting that transit security had been alerted. Darrow noticed this too and became more agitated. "What have you done?" he demanded, looking around at the closed doors. "Nothing yet," Dwayne answered. "But this situation can end two ways. The easy way is you let her go, and we talk. The hard way." He let the sentence hang unfinished. Darrow pulled Tejo closer. "I need what she carries. The Commonwealth keeps advanced research from reaching worlds like mine." Dwayne took this information in stride. "So this is political?" "It's survival," Darrow insisted. "Her research could help my people." Tejo found her voice. "My samples are just basic human cellular studies. They won't help anyone off-planet." Dwayne maintained eye contact with Darrow while slowly beginning to hum a deep, rhythmic tone. The sound was barely noticeable to human ears at first, but Darrow immediately reacted, tilting his head in discomfort. "What are you doing?" Darrow demanded. Dwayne continued humming, gradually increasing the volume. He had learned during diplomatic training that Draconis hearing was highly sensitive to certain low frequencies, frequencies that humans could produce but barely perceive themselves. "Just having a conversation," Dwayne replied between hums. "One that's getting a bit musical." The vibration wasn't painful to Darrow, but it created a disorienting effect, making it difficult for him to focus. It was like trying to think clearly while someone repeatedly tapped on your eardrum. An older man sitting nearby caught Dwayne's eye and seemed to understand what was happening. He began humming too, matching Dwayne's tone. Then a young woman joined in. Within moments, several passengers were humming the same note, creating a surrounding effect that amplified Darrow's discomfort. Darrow's grip on Tejo loosened slightly as he tried to maintain his focus. "Stop that noise." "It's just a traditional Earth greeting song," Dwayne said calmly. "We sing it to welcome visitors." This wasn't true, of course, but Darrow had no way of knowing that. The alien shook his head, trying to clear it. Tejo felt Darrow's grip weaken further and took her chance. She twisted slightly, using a self-defense move she had learned in college. Not enough to break free completely, but enough to reposition herself. "My research won't help you," she said firmly. "I study how human cells adapt to Earth environments. The samples only work with human biology." Dwayne took another step closer, still humming. He was now close enough that Darrow would have to let go of Tahoe to defend himself properly. "Commonwealth security is on the way," Dwayne said. "They'll be here any minute. But you still have a choice." "What choice?" Darrow asked, his voice less threatening now. "Surrender peacefully. Tell them who sent you. I'll personally ensure you're treated fairly." Darrow's eyes darted between Dwayne and the subway doors. The humming continued around him, making his thought process sluggish. "How do I know I can trust you?" Darrow asked. Dwayne stopped humming and looked directly into the alien's eyes. "Because unlike whoever sent you here, I'm facing you openly. No tricks, no lies. Just offering a better way out." Something in Dwayne's steady gaze seemed to reach Darrow. The alien's posture changed subtly. "The people who sent me won't be so understanding," Darrow said quietly. "Let us worry about that," Dwayne replied. "First step is letting her go." The subway remained stopped at the station, the doors still closed. Through the windows, the shapes of security personnel could be seen gathering on the platform. Darrow looked at them, then back at Dwayne. Slowly, his grip on Tahoe relaxed. As Darrow's grip loosened, Tahoe stepped away quickly. She moved beside Dwayne, clutching her research bag tightly against her chest. The other passengers stopped humming, and the subway car fell into tense silence. "You don't understand what you're involved in," Darrow said, his voice lower now. His tall frame seemed to shrink as his aggressive posture faded. "This goes beyond one bag or one human." Outside on the platform, security officers positioned themselves near the doors, their uniforms marking them as Commonwealth peacekeepers rather than regular transit police. The Earth had integrated some alien security protocols since joining the galactic community. "Why don't you explain it to me?" Dwayne asked, keeping his body angled to shield Tahoe if needed. Darrow's scaled skin rippled with changing colors, a sign of internal conflict that Dwayne recognized from his diplomatic training. The alien seemed to be weighing his options. "The Commonwealth isn't what humans think it is," Darrow finally said. "Your Earth joined 3 years ago, so you only see what they want you to see." A young man near the back of the car was recording everything on his phone. "Is that Dwayne Johnson negotiating with an alien criminal?" he whispered to his friend. Darrow heard this with his sensitive hearing and looked confused. "Why do they know your name? Are you important on this world?" "Not important," Dwayne replied with a small smile. "Just recognizable. Now tell me what this is really about." Darrow's eyes darted to the security officers waiting outside, then back to Dwayne. "I belong to the Free Worlds Coalition. We oppose how the Commonwealth controls technology across the galaxy." Tahoe spoke up, her voice steadier now. "And you thought my university research was valuable technology?" "We were told Earth universities were developing advanced biotechnology," Darrow explained. "Something that could help level the playing field for less developed worlds like mine." "Who told you this?" Dwayne asked. "Our information came from someone high in the Commonwealth hierarchy," Darrow said. "Someone who claims to want fairness across all worlds." Outside, the security officers appeared to be receiving new instructions through their communication devices. They seemed to be waiting rather than rushing in. A middle-aged woman who had been quietly watching stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Jean-Sue Park, Commonwealth Science Division," she said, showing an ID badge that glowed with verification markers. "I wasn't supposed to be on this train, but perhaps it's fortunate that I am." Dwayne nodded respectfully but maintained his protective stance. "You know something about this?" Dr. Park looked at Darrow with a mixture of concern and interest. "The Free Worlds Coalition has been misled. There is no secret Earth biotechnology being hidden from other worlds." "That's not possible," Darrow insisted. "Our source has been reliable for years." "Your source," Dr. Park said carefully, "is likely using your group to create distrust between Earth and the Commonwealth." Tahoe opened her bag slightly, revealing sealed sample containers. "These are just cell cultures showing how human biology adapts to pollution exposure. It's basic research, not advanced technology." Dr. Park nodded. "The young woman is correct. Earth is still catching up to galactic scientific standards, not surpassing them. Darrow looked confused and increasingly distressed. But we were shown evidence research documents pointing to breakthrough discoveries. Falsified, Dr. Park said firmly. Creating conflict between worlds benefits certain factions that prefer the old power structures. A look of realization crossed Darrow's face. We've been used, he said quietly. Dwayne watched this exchange carefully, noting how the security officers outside had stopped trying to enter the subway car. They seemed to be letting the conversation play out. Who exactly sent you here? Dwayne asked. Darrow hesitated, then made a decision. Our contact is a Commonwealth official named Lorak. He claimed to be sympathetic to developing worlds. Dr. Park's expression changed slightly at the name. Lorak has been under investigation for months. This confirms our suspicions. The doors of the subway car finally opened, and two security officers stepped inside. They approached cautiously but did not draw weapons. We need to take the suspect into custody, the lead officer said. Dwayne held up a hand. He's cooperating and providing valuable information. I recommend gentle treatment. The officer looked surprised but nodded respectfully. As you wish, Ambassador Johnson. As the officers approached, Darrow turned to Tejo. I am sorry for frightening you. My people are desperate, but that does not excuse my actions. Tejo studied the alien's face, seeing genuine regret. You were misled, she said simply. Dr. Park stepped closer. The Commonwealth Science Division would be interested in hearing everything you know about Lorak and his operations. As the security officers carefully escorted Darrow from the subway car, the alien looked back at Dwayne. You knew more than you revealed, didn't you? Dwayne nodded slightly. Earth may be new to the galaxy, but we understand when someone's being manipulated. The other passengers began to relax as the threat was removed. Many were still recording, capturing a moment that would soon spread across both Earth and Commonwealth networks. This isn't over, Dr. Park said quietly to Dwayne and Tejo. What happened here today exposed something much bigger than one desperate alien on a subway. The subway station buzzed with activity as Commonwealth security officers secured the area. Regular train service had been suspended, and curious onlookers gathered behind hastily established barriers. News drones hovered overhead, capturing footage of the scene below. In a small room converted to a temporary command center, Dwayne sat across from Darrow. Between them was a simple table. Two security officers stood by the door, but kept their distance out of respect for the conversation. They're going to transfer you to a Commonwealth holding facility soon, Dwayne explained. Before that happens, I need to understand exactly what you were told about Earth's research. Darrow's scales had settled into a dull gray color, a sign of resignation among his species. Lorak said Earth scientists had discovered a way to accelerate cellular adaptation. Technology that could help planets like mine cope with industrial pollution. Tejo sat nearby, her research bag now safely beside her. Dr. Park stood at her side, taking notes on a thin transparent tablet. That makes sense, Tejo said. My research does focus on cellular adaptation, but it's early-stage work. Nothing revolutionary. Dr. Park nodded. Lorak couldn't steal what doesn't exist, so he sent you to grab random research, hoping to find something valuable. Outside the room, the station grew more crowded as high-ranking Commonwealth officials arrived. The incident had clearly triggered significant concern. Darrow looked up at Dwayne. What happens to me now? That depends partly on you, Dwayne replied. Cooperation means leniency. The door opened, and a tall figure in formal Commonwealth attire entered. Commander Ilix was the highest-ranking security official on Earth, overseeing all Commonwealth peacekeeping operations on the planet. Quite a situation we have here, Commander Ilix said, surveying the room. His species communicated through subtle color changes on his face, and right now, they indicated serious concern. Commander, Dwayne acknowledged with a respectful nod. We were just getting clarity on the situation. Ilix turned to Darrow. You realize that attacking a citizen of a Commonwealth world carries severe penalties? Darrow lowered his head. I do. Dwayne raised a hand. Commander, I believe Darrow was manipulated. His actions were wrong, but he's providing valuable information about Lorax's operations. Tejo stepped forward. I don't wish to press charges. He was misled. Commander Ilix's facial colors shifted to a pattern indicating surprise. The victim doesn't wish to pursue punishment? No, Tejo said firmly. I think he can help us more by explaining everything he knows about who sent him here. Dr. Park touched her tablet, bringing up a holographic display. Commander, the information about Lorax matches other evidence we've been gathering. This could be the break we needed. Commander Ilix considered this, his colors shifting through patterns of thought. Very well. Darrow will be treated as an informant rather than just a criminal. But he will remain in custody until we verify his information. Darrow looked relieved. I will tell you everything I know about Lorax and his network. A junior officer entered the room hastily. Commander, we have a situation. The subway footage has gone viral across Earth and Commonwealth networks. Over 20 million views already. Commander Ilix's colors flashed with alarm. What footage? The officer projected a video from his device. It showed Dwayne calmly confronting Darrow, the passengers humming in unison, and the peaceful resolution. The footage ended with Darrow apologizing to Tejo. The public response has been unexpected, the officer explained. Humans and Commonwealth citizens are praising how the situation was handled. They're calling it a model for cross-species conflict resolution. Dwayne couldn't help but smile. Sometimes how you solve a problem matters more than the problem itself. Commander Ilix studied the video footage again. This changes things. The Commonwealth Council will want to address this directly. Address it how? Tejo asked. This incident exposes Lorax activities, but it also showcases something we didn't fully appreciate about humans, Commander Ilix explained. Your species resolved a dangerous situation with minimal force and maximum cooperation. The humming tactic alone shows remarkable adaptive thinking. Dr. Park nodded. The passengers instinctively worked together, following Ambassador Johnson's lead without explicit instructions. It was impressive coordination. Darrow had been watching the footage with growing interest. On my world, such a threat would have been met with immediate force. No one would have tried talking or humming. He seemed genuinely puzzled by what he had experienced. Commander Ilix's colors settled into a formal pattern. Ambassador Johnson, the Commonwealth Council requests your presence at an emergency session. This incident has wider implications than we initially thought. Dwayne looked at Tejo. You should come too. Your research may be more important than you realize, not for its content, but for what it represents. Tejo looked confused. What does my basic research represent? Dr. Park answered before Dwayne could. Earth's approach to problems. You study adaptation rather than conquest. You look for ways to live with challenges rather than overpower them. The Commonwealth needs that perspective right now. Outside, the news drones continued to broadcast images of the subway station. Across Earth and throughout the Commonwealth, people watched as a potential tragedy transformed into something unexpected, a glimpse of how different species might actually learn to work together. Commander Ilix led the way to the exit. We should go. The council is waiting. 3 weeks after the subway incident, Tejo sat in a vast circular chamber within the Commonwealth Council headquarters. The room's high ceiling was decorated with symbols representing member worlds. Earth's symbol, a blue circle with a simple white DNA strand, was the newest addition. Tejo wore formal attire provided by Commonwealth officials. Her research notes were organized on a small display in front of her. She felt nervous but excited. Just a month ago, she had been a regular graduate student. Now she was addressing the governing body of galactic civilization. The human approach to cellular adaptation differs from conventional Commonwealth methods, she explained to the assembled representatives. Instead of engineering cells to resist environmental changes, we study how natural adaptation occurs and then enhance those existing pathways. The council members listened attentively. Among them sat Dwayne Johnson, now officially appointed as Earth's senior cultural ambassador. He gave Taeho an encouraging nod as she continued her presentation. This research may seem basic compared to advanced Commonwealth biotechnology, she said. But sometimes the simpler approach reveals solutions we might otherwise miss. The council leader, a being of crystalline structure, spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Your research echoes how your species handled the subway incident, working with existing systems rather than imposing new ones. This perspective has proven valuable. Dwayne rose to speak next. The subway incident exposed Lorak's network of manipulation, but it also revealed something about humanity's place in the Commonwealth. We bring a different approach to problem solving. On a large display behind him, footage from the subway played. The image of passengers humming in unison while Dwayne calmly negotiated had become iconic across thousands of worlds. Humans instinctively cooperate in crisis, Dwayne continued. We don't need special training or technology to work together. It's part of who we are. In another part of the Commonwealth complex, Darrow sat in comfortable quarters. Though technically still in custody, he was treated as an honored informant rather than a prisoner. His cooperation had led to Lorak's arrest and the exposure of a network of corrupt officials who had been manipulating less developed worlds against the Commonwealth. A human officer entered Darrow's room. The council session is being broadcast if you'd like to watch. Darrow nodded, his scales now a healthy blue-green. I would. Thank you. The officer activated a screen, showing the council chamber where Dwayne was speaking. What happened that day wasn't remarkable for humans, Dwayne was saying. But it showed that strength isn't always about who has the most advanced technology or the most powerful weapons. Sometimes it's about who can find a third option when everyone else sees only two. Back on Earth, the subway station where the incident occurred had become something of a tourist attraction. A small plaque commemorated the event, reading, "Site of the first harmonized resolution where humming changed galactic relations." Regular commuters mostly ignored the plaque and the occasional visitors taking pictures. But one passenger, who had been on the train that day, often smiled when he passed it. Jaiwo Park had been the first to join Dwayne's humming. Now, as he rode the subway to his office, he noticed something new. Emergency information panels throughout the subway system had been updated with Commonwealth symbols. Small speakers had been installed beside them. A transit worker noticed his interest. Those are part of the new harmonic defense system, she explained. If there's ever another incident, the speakers can emit specific frequencies that affect different species. Completely harmless but very effective. Jaiwu smiled. Like our humming, but official. Exactly, the worker replied. Your quick thinking that day helped inspire the system. In the Commonwealth Council chamber, the session was concluding. The council leader addressed the assembled representatives one final time. Based on the evidence provided and the observations of the subway incident, the council has reached two decisions. First, the Human Cooperation Initiative is hereby established, with Ambassador Johnson and researcher Kim as its first directors. Taeho looked at Dwayne in surprise. This was unexpected. Second, the council leader continued, Earth will host the next Commonwealth Scientific Congress, focusing on adaptive approaches to galactic challenges. As the session ended and representatives filed out, Taeho approached Dwayne. I never imagined my research would lead to this, she said. Dwayne smiled. Sometimes the smallest things have the biggest impact. Your work studying how cells adapt to change mirrors what humanity brings to the Commonwealth: adaptation rather than domination. Later that evening, Taeho called her parents from her new Commonwealth quarters. Mom, Dad, you won't believe what happened today. Her mother's face appeared on the screen. We saw the council session broadcast. Our daughter, speaking to the whole galaxy. Taeho laughed. All because I took the subway that day. Her father joined the call. And because you stood your ground. We're so proud of you. As night fell across Earth, the story of the subway incident was being taught in Commonwealth schools on 1,000 worlds. Children of countless species learned how a simple human technique, humming together in harmony, had revealed a new way of resolving conflicts across the stars. And in New York City, the subways ran as always, carrying millions of people through their daily lives, each one potentially the next ambassador of humanity's unique approach to the universe.